Hello, I'm Dr. Herb Smitherman, and welcome to OurHealth Urban, the health show with an urban perspective. You may have heard that obesity, or being at an unhealthy weight, is on the rise. Walk down the street of any major U.S. city and you'll find 1 out of 3 adults has a weight concern that negatively impacts their health. Even childhood obesity has become a major health challenge in this country. Over the last 30 years, the number of obese children in the United States has tripled to 12 million. It's predicted that this could be the first generation since the Civil War to have a shorter lifespan than their parents. As a doctor and father of 2, I find this to be concerning. It should make everyone sit up and take notice because obesity is taking a tremendous toll on our lives and the lives of our children. Obesity-related diseases cost the United States over $150 billion each year in medical expenses, with medical costs for people who are obese almost $2,000 per year on average, higher than those of normal weight. Additionally, 90% of people with type 2 diabetes are overweight or obese. Obesity is associated with 4 leading causes of death in adults, which are heart disease, cancer, stroke, and diabetes. It's also associated with infertility, back pain, Alzheimer's disease, sleep apnea, osteoporosis, or poor bone health, high cholesterol, kidney disease, and depression. Shortly after eating, our circulatory system, or blood vessels, deliver vital nutrients and energy to all the cells in our body. When our cells have more energy than they need, the body stores those extra nutrients as calories. Tiny fat cells absorb these extra calories, and they are then transformed into larger fat cells. The longer the body is supplied with excess calories, the larger these fat cells grow. As more and more fat cells grow, what once was just a tiny cell has now become significant, changing our physical appearance and our health status. Taking in too many calories can lead to being overweight and obese, but by making a few simple lifestyle changes, we can control and reduce our weight. Eat at least 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day. Choose foods that are low in fat and cholesterol. Cut down on salt and sugar. Eat meals at the table instead of in front of the TV. Pay attention to portion sizes, which is the amount of food you eat. Grill, steam, or bake your food instead of frying. Eat before you get too hungry. Exercise at least 30 minutes every day. Enjoy leisure activities that get you moving. Record your physical activity. Walk instead of driving when you can. Get enough sleep, which for most adults is 7 to 9 hours a night, and try to manage stress. Now, no one expects you to make all of these changes overnight. Getting to a healthy weight is the result of many small choices, but you've got to start. Make little changes and keep them up, and from that, you will begin to see benefit. You'll start to feel better. You'll have more energy. You'll notice your weight coming down, and your back, your legs, and your knees won't hurt as much. This will give you the encouragement you need to continue on making positive changes. Pete Thomas is someone who's been successful at making these lifestyle changes. You may remember him as the at-home winner on the TV show The Biggest Loser. Pete lost over 180 pounds and for the past 4 years has kept it off. Listen to Pete as he tells us his story.
My name is Pete Thomas, and this is my story. You know, my story starts when I was young. My mother struggled with mental illness, and she had a combination of paranoia and dementia. And because of this struggle, we were transient. We were on the go from one city to another city to another. I lived in 12 or 13 different cities by the time I was 12 or 13 years old. And because of the nature of our life, because we were transient on the move, I never learned proper nutrition, never learned proper eating habits at all. And many times I went without food altogether. I could remember one particular time, we went to East Lansing, Michigan. We'd go to the little Catholic church down on campus, but we weren't going to Mass. What we were actually doing is we were going to get the church bulletins, because in the church bulletins were 2-for-1 coupons to Burger King. So we lived off of fast food. That's how we lived from a normal basis, on a normal day-to-day basis. And then there was a period of time where as I stabilized, I was adopted by my third cousins. And so as I stabilized, the food became available and I would overeat. And that's when my weight really began to come on in those high school years, and then over into college, because that's when food was more and more and more abundant. And so if you would have seen me probably around 12 years old, I may have looked like a pudgy little kid. But the time I was 22, weighing about 260 pounds, you could say, okay, here's a problem coming. And then around 27, I'm weighing somewhere around 360 pounds. And then at my largest, over 416 pounds. You know, what really happened for me was, I can remember about 27 years old, I can remember saying to someone in church, you know, if I'm this weight when I'm 30, I really have got to do something about it. Well, it comes around 3 years later, not only am I that weight that I was at 27, but I was even bigger. And that's when I really started to focus on it and say, I've got to do something, I've got to take care of it. And so that's when I tried different programs. So I tried these different things, and nothing ever worked permanently, until I had an opportunity to go on The Biggest Loser. The Biggest Loser for me was really a progression. I was going to try the next program, whatever the next program was. I was going to try it. I wasn't going to stop starting my weight loss journey. And so I would try it out for The Biggest Loser, had an opportunity to make it on, and I believe that it was just the thing that I needed. They taught me basics about weight loss and exercise, and I was able to carry that after the ranch. I carried that home with me, and I began to continue my education, continue learning, and now I'm able to teach others today.
You've probably seen my next guest on our healthy eating segments or teaching health education classes in the community. Well, today we have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Akua Woolbright. She is the community healthy eating and wellness educator for Whole Foods. Dr. Woolbright has a PhD in nutritional science from Howard University and is an advocate for educating underserved communities on nutrition and healthy eating. Dr. Woolbright, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A recent study by Forbes magazine ranked Detroit as the 5th most obese city in the country. How much does what we eat and the way we eat play into the obesity epidemic?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because we know that food plays a critical role. And I think that we've gotten to the point where it's time to take some bolder steps when we talk about nutrition education. With so many hands on deck working towards combating the obesity epidemic in this country, you would think that we would have made more progress than we have. Yet the numbers are still alarmingly high. So I think that it's time for us to stop preaching the message of everything in moderation or portion control and go a little bit further than that and really start talking about the foods that we know can help prevent and reverse disease and at the same time help people to lose weight.
You talk about the power of eating whole foods that are nutrient dense. What does that exactly mean?
Well, at Whole Foods Market, we have our own definition of healthy eating. And that definition really is built around the 4 pillars to healthy eating. The first pillar being whole foods. By that we mean foods that are in their natural state. We may call those grandma's foods. There's so much power in the way that our grandparents ate. Foods that are collard greens, that are legumes, that are all sorts of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds. So that first pillar of whole foods is really a call to return to our basics, returning to a way that we ate before, and eating foods that are simple and in their natural state. The second pillar is plant strong. This is where plant foods really do take the lead. We're building our meals around all of those vibrant colors that I just mentioned before, all of those vegetables, all of those fruits, all those plant-based foods. The third pillar is healthy fats. We're going to get our healthy fats from those first 2 pillars, whole plant foods, meaning avocados, the whole olive, nuts and seeds. And finally, we have the 4th pillar, which is nutrient dense. If you're following the first 3 pillars that I mentioned, you will look at your foods and see that they are automatically low in calories, saturated fat, cholesterol, yet high in all those micronutrients like vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytochemicals that we know can help us to lose weight, look younger, feel better, and return to optimal health.
I've heard you talk about the 3 F's, fat, forks, and feet, and that people should consider these 3 factors when looking to maintain a healthy weight and manage obesity-related diseases like diabetes. Can you tell us about these 3 F's?
Well, I like to talk about the 3 F's because I think it's easy for people to remember. We know that we need to get the fat off of our bodies, and we do that with food and exercise. So we need to look at what's on the end of our forks, and we need to get our feet moving. And so that's one way that I like to encourage my class participants to think about their lifestyle change, and it's a simple way for them to remember to do so.
Regarding obesity, what are some of the biggest challenges facing people living in urban communities?
Well, we know that people living in urban communities face many challenges, from dealing with transportation issues, worrying about childcare, where their kids are going to go to school, maybe even taking care of an elderly loved one, lack, abuse, neglect. There's so many conditions that we all have to face when we live in a big city. And on top of that, we tell them that they need to change their lifestyle. They need to lose weight. That can become very overwhelming to people. And I think that as health professionals out in the field, working with people who are trying to lose weight or combat chronic disease, we have to have a more comprehensive approach. We know we need to talk about access and affordability and issues around just getting the right foods into the home, but we need to change our education message, as I mentioned before, and talk beyond portion control and beyond everything in moderation, but really teaching people what the proper foods are. But one thing I think that we're not even addressing at all is the emotional support. If people are dealing with so many competing issues and you're trying to make sense of our lives and try to find things that are going to fit and work, we have to give people the emotional support. So my challenge to colleagues out in the field who are doing this work is to really add an emotional piece to the work that we're doing.
By now, there's been some news. Many have heard Whole Foods will open its first store in a major city here in Detroit. Walter Robb, the co-CEO of Whole Foods, has on many occasions expressed his commitment to this city and to getting people access to healthy foods. Here's some of what he had to say in a recent interview.
This is Motown multigrain right here.
Healthy food is, it should be available and accessible for all communities. And there's simply no other way forward to work on the health of the nation, the health of this community, the health of any community. There's no pill, there's no operation, there's no silver bullet. There's only more responsibility and with your personal diet and access to food to be able to cook and learn. And people need access to the food, they need help with the food, and they need help in preparing it and learning how to prepare it. So I just think that in some small way, this store can be a step in that direction.
Would you comment on this issue about healthy and affordable foods?
Sure, we're really excited about coming to Detroit because we're going to do our level best to meet the needs of access and affordability. One thing that we're doing to make sure that we are highlighting the foods that are the most helpful and the most affordable is by teaching classes on how to shop the store, how to look for those bargains, and how to really choose foods that are going to be the most impactful. If we're eating, grandma's foods, just those bulk beans, those black-eyed peas, those collard greens, we see that our grocery bill starts to go down. And I try to help people see the value of those foods and start to enjoy them by learning how to cook them in different ways and just exploring some foods maybe they have forgotten about, returning back to those basics and bringing those foods back onto our plates.
Wonderful, wonderful. Before you go, would you care to leave us with any closing thoughts or any closing comments?
Mainly I want to say that, for colleagues of mine who are working on the obesity issue, just dig deeper. I think there's so much work to be done still. We can all work together to get the work, completed. But we have to make sure that we are addressing all the issues that are facing people in this city and around the country. And the main point I want to take away is that yes, it's our food, it's our exercise, but the third ingredient that we have left out of this conversation really is emotional support. And I encourage all of my colleagues to consider adding that to the work they're doing to make sure that people are able to make the changes that we're asking them to make.
Thank you. This has been very educational, very helpful to our community.
Thank you
so
for
we
having
thank
me.
you very much, Dr. Woolbright. We'll be right back.
Hello, Detroit. Here's an OurHealth Urban question for you. Neighborhoods where people lack access to fresh fruits and vegetables are called A, food oases, B, food deserts, or C, no food zones. If you said B, food deserts, you are right. Food deserts are neighborhoods where healthy, affordable foods either don't exist or are too expensive. Many times these neighborhoods are flooded with fast food restaurants and convenience stores. Food deserts can have a negative impact on the health of people living there, contributing to obesity, lower life expectancy, and other serious illnesses.
Here's a startling fact. French fries are the most common vegetable eaten by children. 1 in 3 children in the United States is either overweight or obese. making childhood obesity a major health concern for our families and communities. Here in Detroit, the American Heart Association is fighting childhood obesity with Teaching Gardens, aimed at elementary and middle school students.
One of the biggest causes that the American Heart Association is working on is childhood obesity, because it is a proven fact that as children, if they start out obese, they generally will grow up to be obese, and obesity is a direct precursor to cardiovascular disease. So we are trying to prevent those risk factors with our youth.
Teaching Gardens are real-life laboratories where students learn how to plant seeds, nurture plants, harvest the food they grow, and understand the value of good nutrition and healthy eating habits.
I teach kids with special needs, and so their learning comes through concrete experiences. So this will be a great concrete experience for a lot of them who don't get an opportunity to do something like this in their own houses because they live in either an apartment complex or a place where they don't have grass to plant a garden.
Well, all you gotta do is just make a really big hole for the plant size, and then you just put the plant in, and then I guess you water it, and you wait till it grows, and it will turn very beautiful.
The goal of the Teaching Garden program is to improve children's health, which often correlates to improved academic and physical performance.
From an academic standpoint, it's very important to have real-life, real-world application for the students. It's a hands-on activity. The kids will have an opportunity to see the plants grow, the vegetables grow, and then eat the vegetables as well. There are a lot of opportunities that I thought that our students could really learn from.
And learning is exactly what is taking place at Bunch Academy. These students are already learning the benefits of eating healthy.
So you can be healthy, strong, and not have too much weight on you. So you won't worry about underweight or overweight. Where you can be active, play sports and stuff, and be healthy, so you can live longer.
The American Heart Association hopes that by teaching kids where vegetables come from and the benefits of healthy eating, that they can inspire change and reverse the epidemic of childhood obesity in this country. Bunch Academy is located on the city's east side and is the first school in Michigan to plant a teaching garden. If you would like to learn more about the American Heart Association Teaching Gardening Program, you can visit the Teaching Gardens website or contact the American Heart Association of Southeast Michigan.
This is Pete Thomas, and I want to show you my favorite way of exercising. I exercise using circuits in an ABC format. An A stands for an above the waist exercise. The B stands for a below the waist exercise, and C stands for cardio. Now you can do these exercises if you're outdoors or if you're in and you can't get out of the house. No matter where you're at, you can work out in an ABC format. And now I'm going to take you through them. We start off with an A exercise, which is going to work the chest, which is your push-ups. You can modify that from the knees. I want you to do that for 1 minute. Next, I want you to come up and do a squat. A squat is a B exercise. You're gonna work the muscles in the legs below the waist. And then you're gonna go from the squat to doing a jumping jack. You're gonna do a jumping jack for 1 minute. Doing those A, B, and C exercises will give you a great workout, whether you're at home or outdoors.
So why shop in the bulk food aisle of the supermarket? There are no fancy marketing or sales signs drawing your attention. In fact, it's kind of drab, right? Well, that may be, but if you're looking to save money and eat healthier, spend some time in the bulk food department. And while you're there, you might want to pick up some black beans. Dr. Akua Woolbright has more in today's Healthy Eating segment.
Buying staples such as rice, beans, grains, flours, pastas, and soup mixes loose from the bulk bin is one of the best ways to get the most value for your dollar and to avoid some of those temptations in the grocery aisle. There are other reasons to shop the bulk department as well. Bins are replenished often, so ingredients are super fresh. You can buy as much or as little as you need, so you can experiment with new products without getting stuck with something you don't like. There's much less wasteful and costly packaging. You can find these dry items in bulk bins or pre-packed in some of your local grocery stores. So catch a sale and stock up on some of your favorites, or branch out and try something new. Black beans are one of my favorites. They have many great health benefits, providing a big bang for your buck. We have heard that beans are excellent sources of protein, which can help ward off drops in energy and hunger. But there's more. Black beans may help protect against cancer, diabetes, weight gain, and heart disease. One study found that men who consumed beans each week were less likely to have heart attacks. And some doctors have been known to tell their diabetic patients to start each day off with a bowl of beans to help control early morning insulin levels. Because they're high in fiber, black beans can help to lower LDL cholesterol. And because they're low in fat and calories, black beans may help support weight loss. So go out and stock up on some black beans today. We're here now in the Whole Foods Market bulk department with Mood, our demo specialist, who's going to talk to us about preparing beans.
So we're going to talk about black beans today. And the most important thing when you have dried beans is you sort, you soak, you drain, and you rinse. And so the first step is you go ahead and you pour out your beans and kind of put them in a flat pan and then kind of pick out little things like that, like this little piece of dirt. You don't want that to end up in your food. You don't want like broken beans to end up in your food.
Okay.
So you go ahead and pick all those things out of there. And then you want to pour them into a large bowl.
Okay.
And then you want to just cover them with water. You want to at least cover them, a little more water is okay. So then you're going to let that sit in your refrigerator overnight, at least 8 hours. And then you're going to end up with something that looks a little bit like that. You see how all the color has come out of there?
Yes.
Some of the acid has leached out of there.
Oh, so
that's what you want.
When you mention acid, would this process help me cut down on the gas that may be associated with eating beans?
Exactly. The acid is a lot of times what causes upset stomachs for people.
Fantastic.
And then that way you get a lot of the acid will be able to come out of there.
Okay, fantastic.
So after it's soaked overnight, you're going to drain the beans. And you're going to, at this point, you want to rinse them. Make sure you give them a good rinse and make sure there's no more of that acid left on there. Okay. And you're going to pour them right into your pot here. Cover them with water. You want to go like about an inch over the top with water and then boil them for about 20 minutes.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions for how I could season these beans?
I would recommend little onion, little garlic, or cumin if you like smoky flavors. But you can add anything you want once the beans are cooked. You can do anything you want.
And cut down the sodium and the fat by doing those other techniques. Thank you so much for that, Mood. It's really exciting to see all the options we have in the bulk department. You see here we have some lovely black beans. We have black-eyed peas. We have yellow split peas. We have dark red kidney beans. And one of my favorites, a 32 bean, 8 vegetable soup mix, where we have a wide array of different ingredients already combined together to make your soup preparation much simpler. So go to your local grocery store today and pick out your favorite bean and start cooking today.
Hi, my name is Gwen Meyer and I'm the garden manager here at Lafayette Greens, which is Computer's urban garden in the Central Business District of Detroit. We are a 3/4 acre space and we're growing intensive fruits, vegetables, herbs and flowers organically on about a 1/2 acre of that space. We have 35 raised beds in which we plant things like sage and rosemary. We plant things like cosmos and nasturtium. We plant things like tomatoes and basil and cucumbers, all sorts of things. And the produce that we grow goes back directly to the community, to Gleaners Community Food Bank, Alternatives for Girls, Central United Methodist Church, and back to volunteers who help us to maintain the space. It's really about relationships, this space. So one of our main purposes is to help to break down the barriers that are still continue to exist within the city and the metro Detroit area, including socioeconomic barriers, educational barriers, racial barriers, and the like. And so we really see this space as a place for people from all walks of life to come and feel welcome, to get involved, or just to sit and relax, and to create relationship and community.
One final thing before we go. It's important for us to educate our communities on the importance of prevention. The goal is to prevent illness as best we can. Whether it's mental health or life stress issues, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, or diabetes, we want you to engage in your own health in a way that is both satisfying and productive. and achieves the goal of better health. That means first and foremost, taking responsibility for your own health, going to the doctor and being evaluated, having a primary care doctor that can help you navigate the healthcare system, and watching what you eat and exercising. And if you don't have health insurance, there are community health centers supported by the federal government in your local communities that can and will assist you with your care. We care about you, so please get up, get checked, and know your numbers so you and your family can live a healthy and happy life. Thank you for joining us today. Please take care, and remember, it's all about our health.
This program is made possible in part by the Michigan State University College of Osteopathic Medicine, teaching and caring in the places where we're needed most.